That'll work.
There we go. Awesome. This is a Thursday afternoon in real time production call. Right, for licensed agents, we ask a couple of things from y'all, right? You're super intentional while you're here. It will be about an hour long call and take some notes. Don't change everything that you're doing, just take away a few things and apply them to your business. Right, because if you change everything, you start your whole learning curve over. So don't change everything, just apply a few things. Um, we want it to be super interactive. We're going to kind of go over a couple main topics here, myself, Nathan, and James, and we'll kind of get y'all some helpful tips there.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna go over a bunch of stuff. So I strongly encourage grabbing that notepad if you don't have it already. And you're gonna hear from James, you're gonna hear from me, you're gonna hear from Amber. And if you're not sure quite what to apply, call your mentor. Even if you just talked to them yesterday, which most of us probably haven't. Um, that's what they're there for. Unless you're more profitable, producing more, recruiting more than your mentors, there's probably something that they're doing that they can help teach you and get you better on. So encourage that for all of you guys.
I like it. I like it. Awesome. Well, just to kind of give y'all kind of a layout of the topic and everything that we got here for you. So the overall topic is to grow your production with real results and MACC. And just a few key points that we'll kind of touch on, right? Y'all want to write this down. The first is going to be dialing through your old leads to get apps. The second will be massive action, constant correction, or MACC. And then the third thing will be 5 actionable steps daily to win over the next 6 weeks.
I'm taking notes here too, Amber, just so you know.
I like it. See, and 9 times out of 10, we're really talking to ourselves when we're training y'all. That's what the benefit of this production call is, right? Because we can be 20, 30K a month producers, but we can still work on things, right?
Yep.
We're not perfect. We're not just the best out there. We're still learning. We still struggle with some of the stuff. So us
Yep.
training y'all on this is us helping ourselves too.
It's true. And once you get proficient, right, there's that kind of box that they describe of, you know, what is it? It's unconsciously incompetent and then consciously competent. And just you go all the way around that box. I'm sure you guys have seen that graphic. You've been on a national call, but once you get kind of over that hump, it is very easy to just start to get lazy and maybe you don't say the script exactly. And then your numbers suffer. And then you're kind of back to, oh my gosh, what happened? So wherever your stage is, just started yesterday, few weeks, few months, few years, there's always more to learn and to kind of brush up on and pick on from other people. So I'm excited for this.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Right. So start with the first thing, dialing through your old leads to get apps. We are just about at the halfway point for the year, right? So if you've been here since, I mean, even honestly 2024 and through all the first 6 months of 2025, I'm sure you have a lot of unresolved leads, right? I know I do personally. If I go in my funnel, there's quite a few unresolved leads that I either didn't get an answer on, they gave me a think about it, they were a no-show, or just families that said to touch base later, right? So right now, I would consider this like the second make a move month of the year, right? So I personally, I'm willing to commit to doing something that I was not doing for the first half of the year. So this month, I'm willing to go through, do more dials, make more contacts, get more no's to be able to resolve the leads from 2024 and the first half of 2025, right? Because if we look through all of our old leads, there's 10 or more apps to write in those old leads.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you've only been here for 2, 3 months, it's still worth going back through. You do find that, hey, if you are actually dialing and doing your 200 a day and hitting all of your leads morning and evening, by the time you start dialing into your second week of leads, you should have about an 80% what do they call it? Association rate. So you've been able to contact and either establish an appointment or that they're truly not interested with 80%, which is 4 out of 5 leads. I can tell you right now, I'm not anywhere near that. And that means that there's more appointments there. And that's just in the past, right? 2, 3 weeks. Then there's kind of, you're a month old, or they've kind of lost your phone number. They haven't really seen it come through. There's, thanks, Kevin, 80% resolution. Then there's right 2, 3 months ago. And like what Amber said, you think that you've milked everything you can out of your leads, but I guarantee you there's families that slip through the cracks that you just forgot to get back to. There's families that no-showed and you just had a new batch of leads come through. And all of this is assuming that we're actually working our leads consistently as we're trained to and as we should. And I'll be the first one to tell you that doesn't happen, right? It's not a common week where I'm dialing 3 times in the morning, 3 times in the evening, every single day for 5 to 6 days on just those new leads. So the third thing there is that a lot of us are going through learning curves as we dial those leads. So now we're going back and we're dialing leads that we missed. We're better at it. They've forgotten who we are. It may be a better time for them. So that's how you start thinking, realizing there actually is a lot of value in those old leads.
Yeah, right. And when we say resolve, we don't mean just call them once and they didn't answer. Okay, done, right? Like you want to blow up their phones. You want to call them, triple dial them, like Nathan said, twice a day, every day, until you get them resolved, right? And a lot of times I personally have done this, right? We get new leads coming in because we have an SLO and our older leads don't get called as much. But I actually did this on Monday. I went through all of my old leads for the month of November of last year, called through them all, got a whole bunch of resolutions, booked some FIF resets, and even got some policies. So just dedicating yourself to triple dialing those twice a day and just really blowing up their phone to get that resolution, right? Because at a point, yes, they're no longer an A lead if you have an A lead SLO, but they become one of our levels of bonus leads, right? So there's still apps in there. Good grief, this pollen is kicking my butt. So this month, right, is a really good month to resolve all of those. You got to be willing to dial every single day and every single lead to resolve them, right? And I'm not saying if you have 300 or however many leads in your system to dial all of them every day. Break them up into groups of 60, resolve 80% of that 60, and then increase that back to 60 more, right? Because I don't know about y'all, but right now, if I look at my funnel, I have 350 leads that are unresolved. If I were to dial those, triple dial them twice a day, every day, that'd be a lot of freaking dial.
Like what, $2,000 a day? It's
Yeah,
it's doable. I mean, probably with a dialer, but yeah.
yeah, it's doable, but yeah, it's overwhelming at that point, right? It's much more manageable in batches of 60. So, right, get with your upline, break them into those batches and resolve those leads because you're either going to get a no, you're going to get an app, or maybe even an FIF reset, or all of the above.
Yep. And just looking in the chat here, not again, feel welcome to unmute. This is super interactive. So if you got questions, as long as it's somewhat topic related, we'll be happy to answer those for you guys. Vincent, right, when you call back a no-show within a week, I assume, right, that you don't use the best script. You can. There's really nothing wrong with that. Most of us will just say, hey, something along the lines of, hey, folks, looks like we missed you the other week. I've got this time or this time. What works better for you guys to get that rescheduled? And then often it is good to go through another lockdown and just make sure, hey, I'm sending that email. Can you see that come through? Are you sure this is a good time? Is there anything that might come up to make that a bad time for you guys? Okay, great. Both of you guys are going to be there. Great. This will be over Zoom. Have something to write with. Sit down. Here's my license number. Whatever you do to lock things down normally, it's worth doing that again because you're booking another appointment.
Thank you so much. The only reason I didn't want to interrupt the flow of conversation,
No,
and I also didn't want to lose my question. So
absolutely. That's what we're here for. Also, Roberto, right? Signed up a CID that kept rescheduling for over 2 months. No shows are money. That's where they're at. It could be the first time. It could be the third time. I get more excited. Joe says this all the time. I feel like such a parrot, but fourth, fifth time that they reschedule, you're getting closer and closer because it's obvious at that point that they're interested, right? Why they continue to reschedule if they weren't, but it's a bad time, right? That's all it is. They just turn on Netflix. They're moving into their new home. So the closer, the more no-shows you get, especially with like a call-in lead, the closer you are to those apps. So call those no-shows. That's the first calls you should make every single day.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
usually takes about 3 to 4, especially if you're doing calling leads. I mean, these are reactive people there. So it takes 3 to 4 times to book him as well. I had one just yesterday. He rescheduled since last week. This is going to be his fourth. And then at this point, you build enough rapport. So they're showing up. So I was able to joke with them too. I'm like, hey, he goes, let's do something in the morning. He goes, and I told him at 9 o'clock. I'm like, nope. I was like, well, I want something a little bit earlier because what if we write apps? So we're gonna do it 8:30. I'm like, if I show up earlier for you, I'm like, you're gonna be there. I don't want to be the only one on Zoom here with you. He goes, no, no, I'll for sure. Me and my wife, we talked about it. We're gonna be there for sure. And I know I'm writing apps there, so you could joke with them, and they're like, okay, no, no, for sure, I'm gonna show up. So it takes you build that rapport. Each time they tell you, they're normal people just like us. Use that to build the report like, hey, I had a birthday party, or hey, my car broke down, so they came up, whatever the case. Hey, we're able to take, they're human just like us. So stuff happens. I mean, that's not intentional. And use that to build that rapport with that client and be able to, and it's gonna show your actual person. And that guard's gonna be down. So when you run the appointment, it's a lot easier. They don't have that defense wall and build up more rapport because you've been doing that for the past 2 or 3 reschedules on that, and it makes it a lot easier as well.
Yep. Again, just even more important to make sure you're calling through all the leads because I guarantee there's no shows and apps in there right as well. Amber didn't mean to cut you off.
Even to think about it, right? Like they might have told you they need to think about it a few months ago just because they didn't know what their budget was like, even though you broke it down, right? But they just wanted that time to settle into their home, right? So to think about it, they're either going to tell you yes to the app or the option you went over with them or something bigger, right? Because they see the need and they know fully like what their budget, what their situation is like, right? So all of your old leads, just comb through them, like dial through them, blow them up because there are apps in there, right? Like just yesterday, I was dialing through old leads and got 2 apps on clients from November. So it was 7 months ago, and they wanted protection, and we got them covered.
I love it.
Yeah, and then right, so dialing through your old leads, that's your think about it, your no shows, families that said to touch base later. Maybe weren't able to book them at the moment, and they said, "Oh, call me in a month," or whatever, right? And you didn't quite get around to calling them. And then anybody you talked to and didn't get an app, right? So maybe you sat with them and they told you, well, we're not really sure, right? Like not necessarily a think about it, but like a soft no. Those are always people you can touch base with too, right? Because you got them thinking about the coverage and about the options that they qualify for. And you never know unless you reach back out because there are apps in there, right?
Yeah.
When
Oh,
you
oh, I,
when,
uh,
go
I, sorry, really quickly, I may have, I did miss this. How long are we able to keep the leads? Is it until there's a solid no, or a no, like how does that work?
Yeah, the leads are yours.
Do you resolve it? I
Until yeah,
mean, I've called them 1, 2 years afterwards. I mean, it's in your book so long as you purchase it as well. I mean, you could they'll maybe answer, oh, hey, I already took care of that. Then you can take it off your list. If not, hey, call it. I mean, I've called a year, 2 years past, especially when I'm training agents as well. They could call your old leads as well. That's something they could practice well as well because they're going to pick up. I mean, you haven't called them in months, so they're going to pick up. It's like having a new bonus leads. I mean, instead
Yep.
of first investing, you want to get fresh leads afterwards. If you have a larger inventory, you've never resolved them. You got bonus leads in your inventory, and you can resolve them as well. And your ROI is going to be a lot higher, so your return, because you
Yep.
already counted it as if it was a loss already. So it's going to be all profit at that point. So definitely,
yeah.
definitely do that. I've been calling mine as well. One earlier that wrote on Saturday was from an old one as well that I've been chasing forever, finally picked up. And I think I wrote like 3,700 on Saturday. The week before, the past actually couple of weeks, I've been calling a whole bunch of older leads because I wanted to increase my leads as well. And Joe told me, hey, you want to call your old leads first, resolve those because you have a lot of inventory that I didn't resolve. because hey, I'm getting 30 to 40 new leads every week and I can't keep up with them. You know what I mean? I don't dial them all. And then I've been blowing up my new ones and I was like, hey, you know what? I'm burning my new leads because I'm dialing too much. So I start going into my old leads so I don't mess up calling them 6, 7 times a day on my new leads. So I call the old ones and I'm writing at least 1 or 2 apps for the past month, just calling my old leads.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of income right there.
Yeah, it's paid for my lead for the next week.
Yeah. I love it. Right. And that kind of brings us into like the next key point, right? Massive action, constant correction. And what does that look like, right? So massive action. So 200 dials per day at a minimum, right? Like that's a minimum activity, especially dialing through older leads, right? Because they're not necessarily going to answer. And when they do, you'll be able to talk with them, right? But dialing 200 dials at a minimum per day and
Hmm.
booking 6 appointments for tomorrow, right? And no, we say tomorrow because that's when they have the higher chance of your show rate's going to be higher, right? You're not booking 4 or 5 days out, right? Like tomorrow, within 24 to 48 hours, and then the show rate's going to be a lot higher for you, right?
Yep.
So really focusing on that part, the massive action, 200 dials and 6 appointments for tomorrow.
And I was talking to actually Jason about this a little bit. We say 200 dials. Where do we come up with that number? Where does it even come from? And in the math, right, we know that to make sure that a lead has seen our phone number consistently enough that if they were ever going to pick up, they would. That means we triple dial them in the morning, triple dial them evening, at least 5 to 6 days of that week. And that's just your leads for that week. That's not counting your no-shows, your other leads from the past weeks. So really to find out the number that you should be dialing minimum is take the number of leads that you have for that week, multiply it by 6 for the day, right? Because 3 times in the morning, 3 times in the afternoon, evening, times 5. So if you have 40 leads times 6, what does that come out to? That's 240 leads, right?
Dial.
Dials. Thank you, Amber. And that's the minimum. That's just to make sure that you're not leaving money on the table. Again, that's not last week's, that's not the week before, that's not your follow-ups, that's not last week's no-shows. That's just simply making sure that you're properly working this week's leads. Now, as you start to resolve those and that 30 leads become, or that 40 leads becomes 30, that number will slowly drop. So it may start over 200, but it may finish under 200, right? The thing there is that you don't really know what that minimum is, right, Jason? Actually, we were just talking about this in James's room. It's a key to the lock, right? We all have a key to a huge business here, but just because you put the key halfway in doesn't mean that you're going to get half of the results, right? Dialing 100 is not the same as saying, okay, well, I'm going to get half the results that I would get with dialing 200, right? It means that you might get nothing. It's I think Rodney came up with this, or I don't know where he picked it up from, but you're putting your $2 into the Coke machine. You're not going to get a Coke if you put $1.75 into that machine. It's only after you put $2 in that you get that Coke spit out. Now, the cool thing is that it works the other way too. So not only is it right, it's diminishing returns underneath that minimum, but also doing double the activity doesn't mean just double the results. Typically means triple or quadruple your results. That's the cool thing about this business.
Yeah, I love it. Right. And with the massive action part, it's not just week by week, right? Like, yes, you start to build up that momentum. It's a 6 week rolling habit, right? Like, you got to do that for 6 weeks and then you'll be more consistent. You'll see more consistent results. And you're just all of your activity that you put in, so your massive action will come out with the profit and the results that you're looking for as long as you are consistent doing the 200 dials a day, 6 appointments for tomorrow for 6 weeks, right? Like, we're not saying, hey, you're going to do it in a week and then next week you'll see 10 apps, right? You got to do it for 6 weeks to build up the momentum, to build up the reps and Nate, I mean, you go to the gym, I don't go to the gym, right? So when you're building a new muscle and doing a new workout, you got to tear down. And again, I don't go to the gym, but it hurts when you tear down the muscle and start to rebuild, right? But as you keep doing it, your muscle gets stronger and you get stronger and you get better and you can increase that limit for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, this business, it's not made in or lost, in one phone call, one dial session, one appointment, a day or even a week, right? It's a numbers game over an average of about 6 weeks to 3 months. Um, I think you can actually pretty much directly predict the success of an agent here by their willingness to go pick up the phone, right? If you're where you're at right now is a direct result of what you were doing last week, last month, 3 months ago. The crazy thing is that we can start $100,000 plus incomes with $50 a week in leads. It's crazy. It's nutty talk. It does take elbow grease though, right? That does take a slow process of building up to get to that point where it starts to become exponential and you double your lead investment. You start making triple the income. You double your activity. You start making triple, quadruple the income. Um, we know what those metrics are. And so really, where do you guys want to be in a week? What do you want next week to look like? What do you want a month from now to look like? What do you want conference to look like? Right? Where you want to be in that time frame will tell you exactly what you want to be doing right now.
And with that too, right? So the first half of MACC is massive action. Second half is constant correction. Don't do this alone. Don't figure it out alone. We are in business for ourselves, but not by ourselves. Your upline, your mentor, we're here to help you, right? Like figuring it out, doing it solo. And Jason and I were actually talking about this yesterday. Jason, you're coming up a lot on this call. I love it. But he was saying that a few weeks ago, he was just kind of dialing, doing his own thing in his office by himself. And when someone would tell him no, he'd like slowly get more and more discouraged. And then he would just eventually stop for the day. Whereas now when he gets to dial live in front of a couple of us, and when he gets a whole bunch of those no's, we get to talk about it, laugh about it, and move on to the next, right? Like we get to help you move past the hard part. And hearing no a lot is, especially in the beginning when you're first starting out here, it can be tough, right? And if you're doing that alone, without your mentor, without your upline, without somebody there to support you, it's not fun. But let us be here, let us help you, right? And
I think that's huge right there, Amber. Because I come from a call center background as well. So I did that for 10 years. I don't know if any of y'all know that. And I'm like, what kept me here to do this? I mean, it wasn't the money. It was, good money, don't get me wrong, but I was getting beat up on the phones. I was an account manager for AT&T. I was the last person. So when you've been passed around like 7 times, you finally say you want to cancel your service. You get to me, like, let me talk to the manager. That was me. You'll finally get to me. So you're an irate customer. I have to calm you down, resolve your issue, whatever was going on, billing, tech support, whatever. I did it all. And then afterwards, I got to try to sell you on a product you didn't have. Imagine doing that for 10 years. I'm like, what it kept me? It wasn't the money. I mean, even though I was making over 6 figures, but it wasn't that. I mean, I could make money anywhere. I'm making it over here a lot more. But it was my coworkers, my friends that was there for me. It'll roll off. I was having fun at work. I made it fun. I mean, if y'all don't know, that's one of our core values. I made it fun. So I was joking when somebody was irate. I was like, oh, I got another irate customer. Let me put them on hold. You know what I mean? And we'll joke about it. So when you're daily getting beat up here, it's the same thing. Don't go on long, like you said, because if not, hey, you're getting beat up. And if you're alone, you get one. Okay, whatever. Next one. Boom. You're draining your battery a lot faster versus if you were with somebody else. You're joking. Even the other day I was with Nate. I was getting beat up like crazy. I was calling my old leads. I'm like, let me do something different. But we laughed about it, and I was able to go on like nothing, just rolled off my shoulders, and it didn't drain me. So make sure you are plugging in, especially use the workroom there as well, or running buddy, whatever you're doing, but don't dial alone. Because if not, that's when you start having your doubts. You start doubting the leads. You start doubting yourself. Maybe the same for me. That starts kicking in your mindset. So you have to have a real strong mindset in this. Like we said, 80%, 90% is really mindset. The rest is just activity. Just click, click, click. Run through the script. I mean, you could do that in motion once you do that. And everybody's different. Just keep that. So don't compare yourself. Because some of us, I have a lot of more experience. You can't compare yourself. I've been with Symmetry doing this for over 4 or 5 years. You know what I mean? Compared to somebody else, just track your numbers and try to beat yourself. Like try to just beat your own numbers and track them, see where you're at.
Yeah.
And I think you'll be real successful and you're dialing 200 plus. I mean, you're doing that consistently for 6 weeks. I mean, you're going to run on that and then just reach, like they said, with your mentor, because that's a huge part too. So, I mean, you're dialing daily, you're booking 6 appointments, and you do that for like a week. Hey, I had 10 appointments yesterday, 6 appointments. I only sat with one. I got to think about it. If you're getting all these results and they're showing up and you're running all these appointments, then maybe it's something that needs to be corrected. Did you let your mentor or somebody listen to you run in a live appointment? Did you send them a recording? Whatever the case is, I mean, don't go through it on your own because that constant correction, reaching out with your mentors is gonna that's you need that constant training the mentor to get better at running appointments, at booking appointments, whatever part you're struggling with and
Yep.
just being vulnerable, get your ego out of the way. It took me a while. Don't take a year to get good at this like it took me. Like do it faster, get that ego out of the way, let somebody listen to you, run live appointments. When we first started the workroom, you think I wanted a live dial in front of everybody? I was nervous. I was scared. I still get, you know what I mean? But that made me better because hey, I knew everybody's listening. So guess what I did? I ran perfect appointments because everybody was listening. I was reading the script correctly because everybody was listening. It makes you run, man. Guess what? My appointment showed up better, had a better show rate. I started closing more. Just makes you better. You start winning, and then
Yep.
especially if you're building, hey, your team's listening and what's copying what you're doing. So hey, just listen to me doing it. I'm in the live room. I'm here to answer any questions. Makes it a lot easier. Leverage the systems we have in place here. It makes it 100 times easier and better for you.
James,
That's
So,
what.
I have a question.
Yeah. Go for it.
absolutely.
I just had a question specifically for James. Sorry, I was going a little in and out, but from what I got from what you were saying, you worked in a call center for a few years before joining. I'm just a little look, why specifically then are you saying that it took you so long to get good at this? Because isn't that sort of that wouldn't that experience kind of feed into this? What
Yeah, I
was
came here. I thinking I was gonna crush it here like a rock star. But guess
what
what? I
happened?
wasn't following
What?
the system. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't following the script to a T. I wasn't reading the book. I wasn't training daily on, stuff like I was doing, hey, I'm just gonna read whatever, say whatever. I was a great salesman, I was top of whatever, so so
Yeah.
it wasn't working. And so finally I was like, you know what? The James system is not working. Let me put symmetry to the test. That way, if this ain't for me, hey, I could like at least I tried everything and this wasn't for me. I could go to move on to something else. I tell you, if you do everything you're supposed to, put symmetry to the test, guess what? I lose it every time. So every time I'm struggling, I get off course because it doesn't matter. And I learned this, working at call centers and sales. I did different stuff. You follow the system and then you start, tweaking yourself. You're putting your own little twist to it. You're doing next thing you know, you're over here, you're drifting. You always need to realign. So no matter where you are in business, you always need to realign because you start drifting sideways, it's curved, there's whatever, life's it's gonna happen and throw you stuff. There's gonna have a new wall and you got to realign. Hey, focus on what's working, what everybody else is doing, and just copy. Best copycat wins. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And don't do it alone, right? Like Nathan was saying earlier, right? Do you have your key all the way in? Did you pay those like full $2 to get that Coke? You can do the massive action, but if you're not reaching out to your upline for the constant correction, and when we say constant, we don't mean like once a week, once a day. We mean every 5 contacts, no booked appointment, every appointment that you are in and you don't think you're going to get the sale, call your upline.
Yep.
After every appointment, call your upline, talk about the appointment, no matter how it went, right? Have that key all the way in, then you'll be able to unlock everything in your potential and put the full $2 in. Don't put $1.75, don't put $1.30, the full
Yep.
$2 and you'll get the Coke.
Yeah, you could put $1.99, you still ain't gonna get that Coke until you put that extra penny in.
Right. And the scary thing is that $2 could be different for everybody, right? My $2 could be James $3, right? He has to put in more to get the same results that I do. Or maybe Amber's just, she's better. She's more humble. She follows the system better. Women do tend to do better here. And maybe, right, her $1.50 is my $2. So it just kind of comes down to a question of, do you really want to gamble with your success here? Um, it's already hard, right? This is a very simple business, but we do say that it's simple, doesn't mean it's easy. Do you want to gamble with that, either by not putting enough activity in, but also staying in that learning curve longer than what you have to, right? There's definitely a lot to be said for momentum, but there's a reason that the massive action comes first and then the constant correction. Because, right, you can't really coach a parked car. And this is near and dear to me because I was a parked car. I still can be a parked car at this time. And so I struggled with it for months when I first started, 6, 7 months. Um, and they're related in a little bit more subtle way than you would think, because my ability to show up on huddle ups and show up on calls with my upline and my mentor and actually get value out of them, actually find nuggets and feel encouraged and move forward, it's directly related to my momentum. I was just thinking about this the other day where I called Joe and I was like, Joe, this is what's going on. What do I need to do? Because this isn't working for me and I want to get, I want to bring in more income. I want to do this. I want to do that. And so the only way that I could actually be receptive to that is because I was already putting in the activity. I already had the momentum, right? When I'm feeling paralyzed, when I can't connect with the excitement and the joy that I hear on the huddle ups, when I feel beat down by what my mentor recommends for me to go do or overwhelmed, it's because I don't have any momentum. Now, the cool thing is that momentum costs us nothing. We get to generate that. There's nobody that can stop us from generating momentum. Once you have that, you have movement forward, even if it's in what you feel to be the wrong direction. Even if you spent 300 dials doing something completely wrong, hey, you can feel good about that. That's a day that you said, you know what? I went out and I tried. Now I can go figure out how to do a little bit better. So it's crucial. There's that massive action, and that gives you the ability to be constantly corrected. I do want to highlight also what Amber said. I think you should triple dial your mentor. I just came up with that. I'm pretty proud of that. Call them before the appointment to prep, right? Make sure that they are aware of it. So that you're not doing it 10 minutes before, during the appointment, right? Whether it's going good, bad, you feel like you might lose it. Clients love it when you say, hey, folks, I just want to make sure I'm getting the best thing that we can for you. Let me call my upline or the carrier. Sometimes I tell them. And then you do what Joe would or what James would do in the call center, right? You get that manager on the line who can just breathe that fresh air into the situation. And sometimes folks, that's all they need to hear is, oh, somebody with quote unquote authority saying, no, this is the best option based on what we see, folks. Looks like you're great to go. Nathan's taking good care of you. Nathan showed them XYZ, right? That's your second call. And then whatever happened in the appointment, call your mentor afterwards, right? If it was a sale, great, awesome, celebrate with them. If it was a think about it, a no-show, whatever the case may be, hey, what are some things that we can do to maybe shift that into, you know what, a different result next time? So triple dial your mentor. Heard it here first. You're welcome.
I love that. And then I want y'all to write these three things down. So these are three things that you must do in order to see the results that you're looking for, right? So the first thing is have the activity to be coachable. The second thing is have the inventory to create the activity. And then the third thing is to be coached. Don't be afraid. Your upline, your mentor, we're here to help you, because seeing you win, it makes us excited, right? Like, I can't tell y'all how happy it makes me to help a new agent or any agent just win and get an app and help a family, right? Because like it feels really good. Like I'll kind of brag on Laura a little bit. Yesterday, she was writing an app on a client. She called me and said, hey, just want to make sure this is the option that we're going with. Does this sound good? I was like, yes, great. Laura was able to turn a $15 lead investment into a $500 APV app. just because she did all of the right things, right? She dialed, she counseled, she called me in the appointment, and she got the app written on the client, right? Like, we're not here to tear you down. We're here to help you learn and grow and get better at your craft, right? So focus on those three things: your activity, your inventory, and then being coached and not afraid to be coached. And with that too, right? Like, constant correction. This production call, yes, we recommend being on it every week because it'll help you. But also, this can't be your only training, right? Like, if you get trained once a week and you're doing something as massive action, 200 dials a day, 6 appointments, that's a lot of activity for just one training, right? Like, we listen to SoundCloud audios and take notes on those SoundCloud audios and apply those to your business as well, right? Like, and do that every day. Do it for 30 days for the next 6 weeks consistently, and you'll see your business drastically improve, right? Like, I mean, even us, like, we still do that. Like, every day we'll listen to SoundCloud, we'll do everything, we'll read, we'll talk to each other, talk to our uplines, and just be able to grow together.
Yeah, you're always going to learn something different. And when I put symmetry to the test, I literally did what you just said, and I was training. I just not we I don't even think we have the production call here, but I was training and I was started tracking my business. The first thing, if you haven't done that, start tracking your business, your calls daily. What's the situation? That way, you know where you need to be coaching. You could coach yourself a lot too, as well. So whether, hey, you're struggling with booking appointments, with them showing up, your show rate. If they're showing up and you're getting a lot of think about it, then hey, you know what? Maybe your craft's on there as well. I was struggling with equity protection. I mean, and that's like 80% of our business, right? Equity critical period. There's a lot of SoundCloud audios out there. I mean, a lot. If you go to SoundCloud, just put Symmetry Financial Group, equity protection or critical period. There's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
I, and the key is get like at least 1 to 3 things out of there and apply it on your next appointment. I mean, because we could read all we want, we could listen to everything, we could watch everybody run live appointments, and you could take all these great notes like we are, but if we're not applying anything, hey, we're gonna get the same results we got last week if we're not gonna change anything. So I made it a point to okay, I'm gonna apply. What's the worst gonna happen? I've already got a no. I'm getting no showed. I'm getting a no. So let me try what they're doing, see if it works. Sure enough, I kept applying something differently every time, every day. I would listen to a different SoundCloud, and I was getting at least one thing, and I was applying it to my business during my calls, and it made me better. After 30 days, hey, guess what? I was running great appointments. I was up to like now I'm at like 80, 90% close rate. If you're showing up with me, I could close you. You know what I mean? So do those steps as well. And then I think you said resources, making sure you have enough resources, leads, you know what I mean? People to call, especially starting off, that I think that's one of them. The two major things, if you're struggling, you're just starting, it's either, hey, we're not putting the right activity, but we don't have enough resources, which is leads. I mean, so make sure you're getting fresh leads every day. I don't care what your budget is, where you're starting off with, but you need new leads every week. Because if not, you're just going to go in a rat race calling the same, 50, 60 leads over. Next, you're getting resolved 30, and you're like, well, I'm going to wait another week calling only 30 leads. You're not going to get the results you want, and you're just going to get frustrated.
I think that's super important to highlight there, James. What you said right there is it's not even just how many leads you get this week, but that you're getting leads every single week. I see so many new agents that come in and they get leads one week and dial them through and they don't get the results they wanted, get discouraged, and they never come back around to buy second leads. This isn't a one day, 1 week business. This is rolling average.
And you want to see the results faster, get with your mentor every appointment. We want to help you. We want you to call us, blow us up every 2 minutes. Hey, what this appointment said this. I mean, we want to help you in every single appointment. I've helped so many agents just when they run in my agency. I've actually helped them run the full appointment if they're struggling with it. And then they call me in each one, and And if they're getting to think about it, I'll go in there and I'll close it for them. I mean, we want y'all to win. There's so many resources, but if y'all not taking advantage, taking that call, calling your upline, hey, you know what? I'm struggling. I need help. What am I doing wrong? You know, I mean, this is what I'm doing, but have the numbers to show you, because that way we could start somewhere. Because if not, then hey, guess what? We're gonna start. Are you tracking your numbers?
Yeah.
If not, we're gonna be like, okay, we'll start doing that. Next, hey, do you got enough resources? What's your activity look like? That's the main one, activity resources, and that's the first thing we're gonna ask y'all. Okay, well, what kind of dials you're doing? Well, I don't know. So start there, tracking it, and it's a lot of times it's easier for yourself. I mean, you're gonna be able to coach yourself on that part as well.
I
And
wish
then
we had the problem of people calling us too much, honestly. Like, I
yeah,
genuinely, I want to challenge all of y'all. Blow up your upline, blow up your mentor throughout this next week. And next Thursday, when you come back on here, if you're able to do that, I want to share your results with us, right? Like, let us know, hey, I did this. Like, I called my mentor, I called my upline every 5 contacts, before every appointment, during, after, and let us like hear about your wins, right? Because like I promise you, you will win if you're doing that. Because you're not, I promise you're not bothering your upline, your mentor. We're here to help you. We love when you call and ask for help.
I
and
love it.
James, I think you had a James Mercado, you had a question there, like you haven't been able to get any, what was it, experience? You getting a lot of no shows? You're muted, buddy.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of problems with no shows or the leads I'm getting. They're not answering the phone, that type of thing. I know that's just something that happens as part of the situation. It's just a tough thing. It kind of burns you out when they don't show or they pick up and hang up on you real quick. That type of thing.
Are you dialing in the workroom with people?
I have, but I haven't lately. Maybe that's probably something I should continue to try.
That'll
Yeah,
help
and
you.
then yeah, and then make sure you are triple dialing, because like 80-90% answer on the third dial. So if you're not doing that, definitely dial 3 times back to back. And then
Okay,
make
I've
sure
been
you're calling
working.
them.
Yeah, I've been
Sorry.
working digital leads, and I wasn't sure how a triple dial would work, if it's the same or if it's something different.
If you're doing the digital leads, I think it's similar one. You may want to get some coaching from somebody who's working digital lead, but I believe it's still 2 dials, and then I think you send a text. But I mean,
Yeah, they have like a whole playbook, so just make sure
make
you're
sure you
following
get
the
that
playbook.
script, get with your upline, and then ask him for that script, and make sure you're following that too, because that's a little bit different if you're doing digital leads.
Can
Yep.
I ask a question on the workroom?
Yeah.
Um, I've been dialing into the workroom, but I'm muted and also see everybody else muted. So how do I get that feedback or coaching, or am I doing it wrong?
Unmute, ask.
Okay. I guess my simple enough.
Yeah,
I guess
Yeah.
my worry was like, if other people are dialing, am I going to interrupt their call by them hearing me?
No,
yeah.
I mean,
If someone else dialing and you want to dial, just get with your mentor, be like, hey, I want a live dial. That way, y'all could listen to me so I could get better. And they could schedule a time as well. Make sure nobody else is dialing when they're dialing. So there's plenty of time, trust me.
Okay. And then how do they hear the other side of the conversation?
You would have to unmute yourself and then just have a different device. So,
Or have like my phone on speaker or something so they
exactly.
yeah.
That
can
way they
hear?
can hear
Okay.
you
Okay. Got
having
it.
both conversations. That way they can actually code. Great
Yep.
question.
Okay, just making sure I'm not like supposed to be somewhere else while I'm dialing also. So
Right.
No,
thank
no,
you.
that's what we want. So that's exactly what we want. So yes, please do that so we can help you.
Yep. And as a rule of thumb, Danielle, if there's nobody dialing and it's everybody's muted out, there's probably somebody that was supposed to be dialing during that time. Maybe they couldn't make it for whatever reason. Just unmute. If there's somebody that's a dial session, they'll pop and say, "Hey, looks like I've got a dial session," and that way you're just getting the coaching. So don't worry about stepping on people's toes there. Um,
Oh,
James, I just wanted to touch on kind of your question there as well. This is tough, right? I think that's the first thing we have to realize is that this is a tough business, right? Folks treat us not how we want to be treated, where they hang up, they seem to take us for granted, they throw us under the bus, go kick rocks, don't give us that respect that you'd think a professional would. Um, a lot of that just in our own head, right? Realizing that these are people going through their daily lives. You just call them for your appointment. Well, maybe they just sat down, long day at work, just popped a cold one, and their favorite show just came on. Could be as simple as that. They're not thinking about, oh, how can I jip this guy? How can I make him, feel less than what he is? No, they're busy with their lives, right? That's a big thing there. And then realizing again, the fact that it is hard just goes to show that make sure you're reaching out with your mentor and making sure that you're on that right path so that you're not continuing to work hard at something that's not going to help you out in the future.
Thank you.
Going back to something that was mentioned not too long ago, when you are getting soft no's, how are you dispositioning those, or what notes do you leave for yourself to say, hey, this was a soft no, not a hard no? Go ahead and give them a call again.
Great question. There's two results, and this is something that Joe taught me, that you should receive when you call a lead. But assuming they pick up, right? If they pick up, there's two things that are going to happen. Either you book the appointment or you stick to your script to the point that you get hung up on. If you're getting soft nose, guess right. We want to be nice. We don't really want to take over folks. We want to believe them when they say, I don't have a mortgage. I don't know what this is. Who are you? I never did that. You want to believe them, right? The reality is that it's either they truly don't remember because they're busy and you have to just believe in it enough to realize that that is a very solid lead and they don't remember, or it's a knee-jerk reaction and they're just trying to get you off the phone as fast as possible, telling you anything that they think you want to hear to get you off the phone. So soft no's usually mean that you're not sticking to script.
Yeah, you
Just
want to get a no because guess what? Next week you're buying more leads. Because if they give you a soft no, or hey, you know what, call me back in a week or two, guess what? You got to call them back. We want to resolve as much as possible because we're getting you leads and you want fresh leads. You want to resolve that lead within that week. That way you get your money back. You know what I mean? So you want a yes or no. Be like, hey, this is even something for you then. Yes or no. Or that's where you got to establish while you're calling. The E is highly important. Like, hey, this is the mortgage protection, the mortgage insurance, that will protect you if you pass away or become disabled so you don't lose the house. Is this something you're interested? Yes or no? Boom. Next. That's it. It's either yes or no. Remember, we're not here to convince anybody. We're just looking for the people that want to get protected or still interested in it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amateurs convince professionals sort. We're professional sorters.
Yeah, getting those three no's.
I love it.
So you want a solid no. Next one. And
Now-
y'all say you get a whole bunch of no's. I mean, I don't know if y'all been tracking my numbers. I'm getting a lot of no's, a lot more no shows. I've even gone whole days getting no showed. But I'm already at 4,600 because it just takes one to say yes.
I love it.
And just to be
just like
super-
if you're and just picture if you were at a 9 to 5, you're not supposed to get a policy every day. If you are, you're going to be up there. I mean, they're just putting a lot more work. Whoever's doing that. I mean, so there's days I have gotten a policy every day, but I was been putting a lot more work on those days. So it just takes 1 week. So if you're working a 9 to 5 job, I mean, it just takes one. You could go 2 weeks without getting paid. I mean, you don't get paid every day. We just get spoiled sometimes because we get paid daily here and think we have to get a win or have to write a policy that day. Hey, you could go 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then write it 3, 5 grand. Hey, you made up for the whole month. You're getting paid $2,000 to $3,000.
Yep. I love that, buddy. That's such a good perspective, that 9 to 5. I just want to be super clear for you, Vincent, too. Just because they hang up on you, that's not a no. That's a call them back later. It just means it's bad time. It doesn't poison the lead. It doesn't do it. It does. There's nothing wrong with that. That's considered a win. You sticking to your script hard enough, working to either get an appointment or get three no's after you establish why you're calling, and they hang up on you in that process. Awesome. I'll even call them back right in there sometimes, or give them a break, call them back in the evening because maybe it was just a bad time for them. So
Yeah.
that should
I'll
help you
add
out.
on to that too. A no show is also not a no. It's a not right now.
Yep. I love it.
And with that, right. So James mentioned like he knows his no shows, his sits, everything. So are you tracking your numbers properly to be able to get coached, to be able to have that constant correction and know what your massive action looks like, right? Do you know how many dials you're doing a day? Do you have a tracker to keep track of how many dials you're doing per day? How many contacts? How many booked appointments? Reschedules, no shows, all of the above, right? And then with that too, do you have clear set specific goals for yourself for the day before you start your day? Do you have them in front of you, right? Like, do you have it written down, not just in your head? You have it written down that you're going to do 200 dials today. You're going to book 6, 8 appointments for tomorrow. If you don't have it down, then you don't have anything to be able to track your own progress or for your upline or mentor to be able to help you make those constant corrections. So having it down and written down and in front of you helps you, okay, this is what I'm going for. This is my goal. And then it just gives you that motivation to not stop, right? Like hearing no a lot can be difficult. But having that goal in front of you, knowing, okay, I'm shooting for 8 appointments for tomorrow. You're not going to stop until you hit that 8 because you want to have that win, right? Like,
Yeah, so if you hit that, that's huge. So like your goal is to hit 8 for tomorrow because you want to make sure you're writing apps, you have a higher chance, and you only got 5 appointments and you ready to hit 200 dials and you're gonna stop, then you haven't reached your goal. You know what I mean? You're cutting yourself short there as well. You know what I mean? It's gonna take you more than 200 dials, especially if you have higher goals as well. So you got to dial more, 300, 400 dials, whatever it takes. Remember, there's no control. Some days it's going to take you more days or more dials to book the appointments you want. And then there's other times, hey, you're working better leads. When I got my fresh leads coming in, hey, it's going to take me less than 200 dials to get my 6 for the next day. You know, and I still want more. I want 10 appointments in. I'm not going to stop until at least hit my whichever one comes last, I do. Let's put it
mhm.
that way.
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna dial over 200, I don't care if I already got my 6. I'm gonna keep pushing till I hit my 200 if I already got my 6. And then the opposite, I make sure, but I'm always making sure I have 6 for the next day, and my dials could be a lot more. And then as the weeks go or as the days go on, hey, I got my leads coming in. It's gonna take me the next day. It's gonna take me longer to do it. So I gotta it's like I know that already because I'm resolving more leads. It's gonna take me longer to do it. It's gonna be the opposite. You know what I mean? So it's gonna whatever it takes, and that's on you. I mean, you can't just and then if you're dialing like less than I mean, if you're doing less than 200 really, or not having 6 the next day, the chances of you writing an app it's high. I mean, it's not likely because remember, if you have 6 appointments the next day, and if you're at a bare minimum at 50% show rate, a lot of us are. I'm at about a 30 to 40, to be
That's
honest
me
with you.
too. Yep.
So I know my numbers, so I know I need more than 6. So I'm shooting for that 8 to 10. So knowing that, let's say you're better than me. I mean, you better lock down because I'm not the best dialer, best appointment shower on here as well. I work a whole bunch of people because I'm dialing 400, 600, whatever it takes some days. I've done these, whatever it takes. But if you have 6 appointments, 50%, 3 of them are going to show up. 1 or 2 are going to say yes. The other 2 are supposed to say no. And that's where you write 2 to 4 applications. But if
Yep.
you're stretching that 6 appointments, say you barely, you're starting, you only got 1 appointment, 2 appointments later, you're stretching that a week, 2 weeks to write 1 or 2 applications. You start stretching that number out. You're going to get the same results. It's going to take you a lot longer, and then you're just going to be painful because you're going to be in that struggle bus a lot harder because you're
Yep.
not getting the results you want. Just remember that.
You get to control how long you want that learning curve to go for. And double the lead investment, double the activity usually means triple the income. That's the cool thing about it. I love that, James.
Yeah.
When you're counseling with your upline, your mentor to figure out what your activity goals should be, make them SMART goals. And SMART's an acronym, right? I'm not saying we have dumb goals, but SMART, the acronym, stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive. And right, so specific, what exactly are you shooting for? Is it measurable? Can you measure that by tracking your numbers? is it attainable, right? Like if you're a brand new agent, we're not saying go and book 12 appointments for tomorrow because that's probably not going to be attainable for you right out the gate, right? That's something you build up to. That's why we say 6. Is it realistic? Yes. If you're doing 200 dials, you could book 6 appointments for tomorrow. And time sensitive just means for tomorrow, right? We're not booking 6 appointments. Today's Thursday. We're not booking 6 appointments for Monday. We're booking 6 appointments for tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's good too. It's getting with your mentor too to have your goals realistic as well, having a plan. Because I'm, especially if we're starting with bonus leads. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna dial a lot more than us. So it's either you're gonna invest time or money. You have to do one or the other. You got to give one up. If you're buying, H leads or the G leads, F leads, you're gonna have to do double. You know what I mean? So you're gonna probably have to do double than the 200 dials, and you're probably gonna halfway through it, you're gonna have to invest in more leads. If you're doing the right activity, if you want to make like 5 grand in a week or more. If you have realistic goals, I mean, if you want 5,000 APV for the week, you're gonna have to probably double up on that because you're getting older leads. You're gonna get a lot more no's, and you're gonna have to put double the activity. Possible, absolutely, but just having the right mindset and knowing the plan, the goal, what you're gonna do, get with your mentor. You know what I mean? Because maybe you're not because you want to make hey, I want to do 30,000 in the month or whatever. Okay, you got to break it down. You got to invest this much. I think what was it? The Roberts did it very well one time. Hey, it's possible, but you have to have the set plan and knowing what you're going to invest.
Does it
That
matter
question.
what part of the country, or how many, I remember there being, 3, someone said a minimum of 3 to 5, state licenses. Does that impact, or is it the tiers? Where is that? I know there's tier 3, tier 2, tier 1.
For a
Uh,
standing lead order. Yeah.
yeah, where
But
is,
in
where?
HQ, there's a map for a lead order map or a hot map. I would get with your upline, right? Because they'll be able to point you in the right direction of like what states probably make the most sense for you as far as like your schedule and your goals. Right?
Yeah,
Because for
don't
me
last thing,
personally,
don't get with your mentor, don't or your upline. Don't buy leads without getting with your mentor. You mean that way you get the right leads. And if you're gonna get new license, please get with your mentor because they can give you the right ones. Hey, you know what? We're looking for more leads. I want to make sure I have available. Let them know what your goals. Hey, I want to do a standing lead order, but I want to make sure it gets filled. I want to get, if you only have one state license and you want to get more, get with them, please.
yeah. And we have a
I
couple
have a
minutes
question.
left. So I just want to leave y'all really quick, David. Sorry. Just want to leave y'all with 5 actual things that you can do every day to win over the next 6 weeks. And then we can kind of do some questions afterwards. Right. So the first thing is your activity. Are you doing 200 to 300 dials a day? And with activity, do you have 6 appointments for tomorrow? Second thing, are you starting your dials early? Don't start your dials midday. Do a morning and an evening dial session and doing whatever it takes to get your numbers. The third thing, plug in. Make sure you don't miss a single training call, huddle, listen to SoundCloud audios, massive action, constant correction with your upline. The fourth thing, are you going to conference? Are you getting yourself trained? And are you being intentional with who you connect with at conference and ask questions? And then the last thing is call your upline, call your mentor to game plan for appointments. Reach out if you're not going to close after the appointments, right? So Nathan challenged y'all to triple dial your upline. And then talk.
Make me regret that, please.
And talk through everything with your upline because we're here to help you. If you do those 5 things every day over the next 6 weeks, you're gonna win.
And do it in the workroom. Don't do it alone.
I love it. We are just about at the top of the hour here. If you guys have more questions, you know what to do. You got an upline there that's just waiting to be called. So, or set up a better time if they're busy.
And our humble ask is if anything we talked about helped y'all in your appointments, please post that on Band. That way it helps the community so we can all grow and become better together.
Thank you all.